Today in the shop, just another spectacular day. I don't know where this nice weather's coming from. It's just beyond spectacular. We hit a couple of really nice paintable days, and I was able to take full advantage of them. Today I sanded out the primer, got the final detailing of the self-etching primer done, and that was a very time-consuming thing, of course. I had a lot of cups of coffee to keep me company, but knowing that it was a beautiful paintable day outside, I didn't want to waste it. I really put the push on, turbocharged up the coffee, put an extra scoop in, and try to get all my errands done quickly as possible, and really use this to my advantage. This is just getting the base coat of the orange stripe, which now has to dry a day. Did not even expect to get this on today, but I did. And as I'm editing this video right now and I'm looking back at this, we are really in the catbird seat, because now tomorrow we're going to work on Joe's Ducati. He's got the decals, and this will be sitting up by a heating vent, cooking up and getting ready for the final black. Well, it looks like spring is finally in the air. I get up this morning and I can almost see the whole Volkswagen, and the iceberg in the pond is the size of a pizza pie. Spring is in the air, but that's not the really good news. The really good news is tomorrow Joe's coming with the decals for the Ducati, assuming it doesn't, we don't have a hurricane or something. We may be able to work on that tomorrow, or at least get the decals installed on that fairing. But today we have a really aggressive day. I want to get the wheel sanded. It's appropriate for painting, and rain is coming. So the idea today would be to see if I can get the wheel sanded, get the red stripe put on it. Again, all depending on the weather, the orange stripe. And I'm just a slave to the weatherman. So the good news is Karen's list for today, very short list. Should be able to get that all done in an hour, and that won't even interrupt the day. And we'll be getting ready to sand. And most important, I don't want to waste this day, because whenever they say it's going to rain the next day or 2 days, or snow, you never know. But having a day that I know it's not going to rain, I'll put a little bit of effort into today getting that wheel prepped and ready to go. So I don't want to waste any time today. I got all the battery chargers flipped. I am ready to go to work. And I can imagine that by the end of this day, I won't be really happy the way this whole wheel project is coming out. It is just, every day it just gets more exciting, and Dallas is now joining us. We're going to start to get pictures from his project soon. It's the winter of the GS wheels. And this, with the temperature just warming up just a little bit, boy, it's got me inspired. I was really in the doldrums there for a few days, but this morning when I woke up, I'm inspired. And in a perfect world, that last little bit of ice, just a pizza pie size of ice, I'll be able to then clean out the bottom of this pond with the scooper. And, oh, but what the big thing is, with the temperatures warming up, the snow's all going to start melting. And I know the guys were already out riding the last couple days. See, everybody gets the bug in this part of the country. They're all riding, and I'm grinding wheels. And that's the end of the Volkswagen ice. The Eskimo Volkswagen. That should be gone by the weekend. Well, there's one sure day to make sure you get a lot done. Drink a lot of coffee. So I got my plan of action for the day, and the first thing is to get a couple hours grinding away at that wheel and let it warm up just a little bit more outside. As I'm looking over all the parts of this project, I'm just thinking how excited Joe must be for tomorrow. We're going to try to get that all ready to go. And today we're going to work on that wheel. And after looking at the weather report, it looks like we're home for you all to have a really productive day. So I don't want to waste any time. I've had my coffee. I'm ready to go. And when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start sanding. So we're going to mix up some hot water, 600 wet or dry, and go over that whole part. Try to find any little flaws we can. I like to do most of this. I'll get fresh gloves on and do it by feel. I feel for sharp edges. Anything doesn't feel 100% right. This is usually a little bit of a labor of love. It's going to take some time getting in all these angles and edges all in here. I'm going to have to make some little sanding tools. But if I skip this step, what happens? I've compromised the job. And I don't want to do that, of course. So the best advice you can ever give anybody when you're doing a big job that you know is going to take a long time, it's going to be labor intensive, there's some really good basic advice. Break it up into segments. I do that all the time with all the work that I do, is I'm trying to take one segment at a time, not try to do the whole wheel in one shot. Take my time, because this step, if you leave this step out, this is one of the steps that can come back to bite you. This is where we're going to build that foundation, that when I put that first coat of black on, well, first we're going to put the orange stripe, but that first coat of black I want to lay down as smooth as possible and not see any casting marks at all. So the goal here is to get the whole part sanded just like I'm doing right now. It's going to take time. It's probably going to take the better part of the day. But at the end of it, I'll put on the lightest possible coat of primer just so everything is sealed and has a coat of primer. And we should be able to get that stripe on. There's no prediction of rain today at all. So I'm really excited about this. And even another good thing is usually in the course of a day, we always have a couple hours of errands. We have a very short errand day today. So combine those two together and I see a wheel with an orange stripe at the end of the day. And you can see the high spots, or I call them mountaintops, starting to come through. But I do want to sand every single part of that. But that would be the reason for putting on that last very thin coat of primers. I don't want to have these exposed, because ultimately the primer acts as glue to the paint, to the aluminum, especially aluminum. So I always want to have that final sanding, which is what I'm doing now, and that's just going to take time. Now the answer is now just go on to the next segment, finish that one, go on to the next segment, and I think anybody, realistically, anybody can figure out this just takes a couple of cups of coffee. But when you're done, you really have something special. And as I always say, I wish I could sand and fast forward, but this at least makes the video people don't run home and put a gun in their head. Now as each segment gets done, you can see the high spots that need to be, well, I call them the mountaintops, or any spot on the rim where we're not really getting, where there is a little chip or was a little chip. The little high spots will come right up to the front. And this is just a question, time consuming, of doing one segment at a time until I have that one side of the rim, and I like to do the rim and have it done before I start doing the spokes. Now with one side totally done, I'm just looking to see if don't think I missed any spots here. So I know that's done. I want to make sure I get in all those little angles at the end with a little sanding stick. And amazingly enough, nobody came over and did the other side while I was upstairs. Alright, so we're just going to flip this over, do the other side exactly the same. Usually the second side will go just a little bit faster. I don't know why. I guess you get your rhythm up, or whatever. Who the hell knows? And who cares, as long as we get this whole thing sanded. But again, this is a really critical little step that just makes for the final. You never see it along the way, but then in that final coat of clear, boy, you see that you didn't miss any spots, or that there's no sharp edges. The main thing, no sharp edges. And any spot right now, it would come right to the surface if something was wrong. If we had missed a spot along the way, right away it's going to show its ugly head. So I think this is one of the steps I really just don't want to compromise. Now once I make a commitment to do something like this, that's going to be a long, boring, tedious job, I can't turn around and say, oh gee, I'm not going to finish it today. And a lot of times I get tired, I get bored, I play the radio loud, but I always get it. With both sides of the rim are done, especially these edges. All of the edges, I picked up all the high spots on this that I can find. Anything that looks like right down there in the center, there's a high spot. It just this step, if you leave it out, you really don't get that, I don't know what you would call it, the base or whatever, that smooth foundation. Now next thing I want to do, I want to work on all of these little bars, and this is again, it's an easy way I like to do it. Break up one thing, and at the end of it just go over the whole thing one more time, just to make sure, as you're feeling around with your glove, feeling for any high spots that might be on there. But so far very productive. Self-etching primer tends to come off a little bit like mud, Now, even though I've had it drying up by a heating vent overnight, it still comes off like mud. And there's not much you can do about it except keep the paper wet and replace it often. But now I've tried in the past to try to skip steps to see which steps were really important and which ones really paid big dividends. This is the one that pays the biggest dividend, because right at the point you've got the sanding done, there's still little high spots and rough spots and angles and edges and things that are just not perfect. And when you can address them, the earlier on you can address them, the just better chance you have of having that, what we have with the rear wheel, where you look at it and no matter what angle you look at it, something's shining. Something's smooth, something's shining. So, and that's the goal of pretty much of everything we're doing here. Now, I wanted to show, and just do one in real time here. I've got the edges caught. I've got see the little dots of the casting still coming through. So once I finish one, I'll just go on to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. And just be resigned to the fact this does take time. And even when stuff is, you think you've got it perfect, there's always little high spots, little edges, little corners that when you're all done, those are going to show up, especially in something black. And I would really like to have a twin to this first wheel that every time that light hits it, it's looking a little, well, it's like the facets of a diamond that just sparkle no matter where the light is. And I learned so long ago, anytime you put into this part of the job, you save 5 times the amount of time when it comes time to do the absolute final finish and clear. Now the hub on this part is less detail than the rear wheel, so this is going a little bit quicker, but both sides of this, you do see between the discs, so I don't want to have, again, I don't want to have a compromise here, but just getting this coat of primer, once this is sanded down, that last coat of primer will go on there just so much smoother, so much nicer. It's like exactly what happens when you sand just before the last coat of clear, and you put that last coat just lays down. And you can see, because we did a lot of grinding on the hub, there's a lot of high spots here, so when we do the final detailing with the little sanding block, we'll get in all these corners and angles, and I can feel with my finger. Anytime I can feel it, you'll see it in the final paint. That's a real good test to see if you're going to see it in the final paint. Now I overlaid the sound on this segment because what was happening, the compressor was kicking on and off, and of course that's why I have to wear the headphones. Even though we have a very sophisticated muffling system on its compressor, it's still loud, and it's in a furnace room that echoes it. So if you see the headphones, you know I'm not listening to the Grateful Dead or anything, that's for sure. Anyway, the idea here is to blow off any of the residual goop or dust, clear it up as clean as possible. Even in all the little nooks and crannies, get it all clean, because from this point on, I want to put that last coat of primer on as thin as possible. Now we're going to try to get on one very nice light coat of self-etching primer, and then let that dry. And see if the weather holds out, we'll get the orange stripe, the backdrop of that painted, and that would really, really be a big accomplishment today. Just another really good day for, hey, the rabbit's poking his head out of the snow over there. Really good day for painting. I think we're going to take advantage of this. Wow. I couldn't be more excited about getting this project moving along. Now the objective is to get the thinnest coat possible on, leaving absolutely no exposed raw aluminum, so that we get the perfect bond for the next coat of paint. That primer acts as glue. Now we'll just let that side dry, give it a minute or so, and do the other side, and boy, what a day. Can't imagine. This is the first nice day we've had probably in 3 months. Now doing the second side, once this is tacked out, I don't want to get any extra paint buildup. I just want to be sure everything is covered with one coat of primer, as thin as possible. Now we're just going to keep that wheel spinning and babysitting for about 5 or 10 minutes and see how that dries up. I'm sure it'll dry up nice. It's just a really exceptional chunk of weather we've had the last couple days, and we've taken full advantage of it. Well, that's cooking up. Time for a nice coffee break. That'll make the paint dry a lot quicker. So in my extensive paint shop, I still have the paint that Karen gave the approval. That's an exact match to the... We'll find out when this is all dried and cleared. Anyway, the primer's all dried. An hour's gone by. I'm going to put on 2 coats about 20 minutes apart, and then put that up by a heating vent. And Joe is going to be here tomorrow, so that'll get an extra day to dry. But you know, I have everything marked with. Look at this. Yeah, Joe, you even got paint left from your job. I don't know why we're worried. Oh, it has just dried up. Oh, just unbelievably good. Time to get the stripe on. Now the objective of this step is to get the orange on in about 2 or maybe 3 coats until it covers and it's a good match to the orange. That the only other part on the bike are the Suzuki decals, and that has to be a perfect match. Now I want to get 2 coats on each side, and dry coats, not wet coats. I don't want to take any chance I'm going to have a problem. I want that paint to lay down beautifully. The weather is perfect. That just couldn't be any better. Well, it's only a question of babysitting it now, and that's gonna dry up perfectly. And tomorrow we'll be working on Joe's port, so this will get an extra day to dry before we backmask it and do the black. Well, that just couldn't have been any nicer today. We really took advantage of a wonderful day. I want to thank the healthcare workers. Boy, oh boy. Am I appreciative of the stuff you guys do. This is well on the way to being another piece of rolling artwork that I'll be very happy with to have on the GS. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. So we do try to post up something every day or so. We do try to post up the work we do. Right now we're doing 2 projects in the shop, the Ducati and also the wheels. We do a lot of custom paint work. We do some 2-stroke tuning, do some polishing. We try to be an all things to all people. Doesn't always work out that way. But we give it our honest best try. We try to pass on good information. So I hope you've enjoyed the video once again. Thanks so much for watching. And if you do enjoy it, share it with your friends. And again, thanks so much for watching.